This video is split into 3 chapters. You only need to watch the first one to start making a level, since that one covers the basics. The other two can be watched later when you want to. We are going to be starting with the level editor. Here you can make levels. Right in front of you, you can see the level that you're currently editing, and on the edges you can see different panels. This panel is used for choosing what you want to do with the level, like what objects you want to add or if you want to remove something. On the left, you can define the level's name, like the level's data, basically. You can also exit here, uh, create a new level, load a level, save a level, or playtest a level with these buttons on the top. And on the right is a contextual panel that changes depending on what you are doing and helps you with changing properties of objects. To move around in the level, you can use right click like this. And if you want to zoom in or out, you can use left click and move your mouse up and down and you will zoom in or zoom out. How far you're zoomed in can be seen here, and also the position of your cursor in the level can be seen right below it. On the left here, you can see the last action that you have done. Currently it's start level editor because we haven't done anything yet. And under there, you can see the currently selected item. Currently it says tile -1, which basically just means that we don't have anything like selected because tile -1 is just empty space. To start changing stuff in the level, we are gonna be needing to change the current editor mode. The current editor mode can be seen here, and depending on the mode, the action that is taken with the left mouse button changes. The editor modes can be changed using one of these buttons. This here is paint. Basically, when we press left click, you will add stuff to the level. This here is erase. If we would left click, we would erase stuff from the level, and this here is pick. If we were to left click on something already in the level, we would copy it into our selected object and be able to just place a copy anywhere in the level. To go back to like move, we have to unselect the button that is currently selected and we will go back to zooming in and out. Right now, we don't have anything selected, so we cannot add anything to the level. To select something, we press this button right here and it will pull up this menu where we can select anything that we like to add to the level. We can close it by pressing this cross, and then we can, using paint mode, add stuff to the level. Whenever you select an item, it basically gets added right on top of here. You can select 16 items before it gets fully filled up. And once that happens, the oldest item gets removed. If you want an item to stay here permanently, you can press this button right here to favorite it. And basically now if we keep selecting the item, it will stay here and won't go away. You can also favorite items by putting the favorite button and then selecting an item right here, and it will also be added as a favorite. Up to this point, we were only working with tiles. To change the current item type, we can use one of these arrows to change it to either decor or object. Basically shifts between 3 different tabs. Each of them has their own queue and basically uh, they manage different types of items. This here is the decor tab. Decor is basically just static images that you can add to your level to spice it up. And this here is the object tab. The objects are game objects that have special properties and special interactions with the level, or just have like animations The rightmost contextual panel changed uh, as we were changing the tab. Here you can edit the currently selected item's properties, so we can change the scale of the object and scale it up, which will make it bigger than when we started with it. We can also rotate it, make it appear in front of other objects, change its color. With decor, you can also flip the sprite. You can't, however, do this with objects because a lot of the time they're a bit too complex to just be flipped. The last thing you can edit is order. Order is a bit weird in that its use mostly overlaps with z-index. When you place down objects or decor, the decor or objects that you placed last will appear in front of the ones that you placed before. If you have decor that you want to put behind other decor and not have to change the z-index because you want them all to be on the same z level, you can change the order. Lower orders appear behind other objects when placed. Higher orders appear in front of the object's place. The tiles tab also has a completely different menu. Here you can just choose the different transformations of the tiles. So you can make it rotate or flip. These are all the possible rotations and transmutations. This is the default one. Right here you can choose the sublayer, which was basically made because you cannot have uh, two tiles in one location. Case in point, right here, it just deletes the tile that was there before. So if you want layered tiles, you will need to change the sublayer. 0 appears behind, 1, 1 appears behind 2, and 2 appears in front of both of these. So we can layer 3 tiles on top of each other. There is also another way to make objects appear in front or behind, and that is by changing the current layer. There are 4 layers, as you can see here: center, front, back, and background. Depending on the layer, the tile might get like slightly tinted dark. The front layer uh, basically appears in front. The back layer appears in the back of the player, like behind the player. Front layer appears in front, and background appears farthest in the back and is smaller than the other layers. This applies for other things like objects, you can change the layers, or decor, you can change the layers. Only the center layer has collision, so only objects and tiles in the center layer can be collided with. So if we had these in the front layer, these were in the front layer, the player would just fall through them. And this spike object that normally kills the player, he can just walk right through and won't kill him. It looks like I also accidentally pulled up another contextual tab. If you double click one of the layers, it will pull up this tab, this panel, where you can basically edit the layers. You can edit the scale of the layer. As you can see here, the background layer, like we saw here, is slightly smaller than the other ones. And you can edit the color of the layer to make it darker or lighter, depending on your preferences. There is also this special option. Unicolor basically colors every object in the layer one color. Also changes the appearance of the player, and the color it shifts to can be set right here. So you can make basically the layers different colors. It's mostly like an aesthetic choice, if you like. Right now I would like to talk about some of the most important objects that you can access or use. Uh, I'm gonna start with the player object, which is located right here. Some of the objects are already pre-placed, these being the player, the ghost object, finish, and the camera. And all of these four objects only can appear once in a layer. Uh, so if you make a new one, it will delete the old one. The player object, uh, depending on where you place it, will start the player right there. So if I put the player object here, the player will start from this position. You can also, if you want to, you can make the character preset, so you can make it so it's only one character that can play this level. And the icon that you can see on the player changes depending on what the character is. You can change it to 69 and it will be that that girl. You can also change the direction it's facing in at the start of the level. So if you don't want, if you start from the right and want to get to the left, you would change the direction. This currently, you don't need to change this. Also, because this is a special object, you can't edit anything else, really, except for the color for some reason. Another important object is the finish. You can see it right here. I'm gonna pick it up. Uh, the finish, it's the finish of the level, so you want to place it wherever the finish for the level is gonna be. I'm gonna place her right there. I'm gonna place the player right here. The finish, you can define the level that's right after this. Usually, if you're not making like a group of levels, you will be needing to define this so you can leave this as just a menu. You can find there's like special constants uh, that you can put here, which do different things. Uh, Basically, if you want a full guide, I'm not gonna give it here. It's I'm gonna give it later. So I in fact did not talk about this later because I forgot. But it's very simple. There are a few constants and a few just like rules with these. Star menu, which you can see on screen right now, is a shortcut that will just take you to the menu when you finish the level. You can also define a star level next, written like on screen. This will take you to the next level in the level group. This doesn't work in user universe, in the like generic group just where all the levels that don't have a group, they aren't in a group, just reside. It doesn't work there. There it just goes into the menu. But if you have a level group, this will take you to the next level. Very simple. If you just type in like a level file name without like the full like path to it, like res, scenes, water grade, blah blah blah. You just type in the level's name and with no prefix, suffix, just the level's file name. SR will basically just fill in the information itself. It will fill in the level group like file path and the suffix itself. So you can basically just type it if you don't want to go to the next level, but to go to a specific level in a level group or one of the levels that cannot be accessed simply through the menu because it's not on the in the 20 slots. Then you can just type in the name and it will get you to there. However, sometimes you may want to go to a level that is outside of the level group in like a different group or maybe in user universe. If that's the case, then you Start with a star, and then you type out the full file path, including the path to where that level is located, and just type it out and put a star in front of it. If the level doesn't exist, then you will just go to the menu. The finish also you can define the level's part time, the time that the player needs to beat in order to get the part of the level. You can also change the type, which just basically changes if the level's finish is XT9 or S1. So basically just an aesthetic thing. And this right here, you can change the unlock, which basically after the level's completed, you can unlock something like a character if you are making like a custom level group. It's most likely gonna be a level. Another important object is the camera. The camera object basically defines how the level is presented. In the visual, there are two boxes currently. They are overlapping. One of them is the green box, which shows you the level's boundaries. The other is a blue box, which basically shows you the camera's zoom. You can change the zoom by changing these two values to make it more zoomed in or more zoomed out. We can also change the level boundaries using limit x and limit y, which can be changed using these four variables. Limit x basically defines the boundaries on the horizontal space in horizontal direction. The limit y defines the boundaries in the vertical direction. Uh, limit xx is the leftmost boundary. Limit xy is the rightmost boundary. So if we were to put this, increase this by, let's say, 1,000, it would expand the boundary to the left by 1,000. If we put this to 500, it would expand the boundary by 500 in the right direction. Same applies to these two. So, so minus we go up, and that's how we go down. The level boundary, even though it follows the camera around when you are holding the object, it is it gets centered on 0, 0 once you place down the object. So even though this is a bit deceptive, the level boundary is always centered on 0, 0. At the end, we can see a few variables that change the fade out and fade in at the start of the level. We can also turn on compatibility mode, which basically makes the resolution of the camera 4:3 instead of 5:3. This is basically how the game was presented in earlier versions, and it's put there so all the levels don't break where you can suddenly see outside of the level. If you want, you can manually turn it on and have 4:3 levels, but it's not required. And these fade out variables, you don't have to change them, they can be left as is. The last object that was already pre-placed is the ghost. The ghost object cannot be edited and is purely to make a certain mechanic work. You can place it anywhere. It doesn't really matter where you place it. It just has to exist in the level, so the level can have the ghost that you can raise. Those were all of the pre-placed objects. Uh, I would like to also talk about a few basic objects that are gonna be required for most levels. Uh, the first one I would like to tackle is the spike. It's a basic obstacle that the player has to avoid. If they don't avoid it, they die if they touch it. It has no like special properties and you cannot rotate it, but because it rotates itself, but you can change the scale and other stuff. The other basic object is a kill floor, which also kills you, but kill floors are invisible and should be placed outside of the level, since when the player goes outside of the level, they don't naturally die. There isn't any code that makes them check for the level boundary, and if they're like outside of the camera, they die. You have to place manually a kill floor outside of the level, so it kills the player. The kill floor extends, as you can see, the red line. It extends far beyond that line, and the way the direction is pointing, the other way is basically death. So the arrow that is pointing currently is pointing towards safety. If the player went to right here, it would basically kill them. The kill floor in game extends far beyond here, so you don't need to add many kill floors right next to each other. You can just place one. If you are unsure what a specific object that you have selected does, there is a little button on the bottom right corner right here that you can press to get basic information about the object that you have currently selected, which can basically tell you what to do with it. Now that we have the level, we can go ahead and save it right here. I'm gonna name the level test level. It doesn't really matter what you name it. All of your levels that you make appear right here in this folder. The folder is located in the user folder, which is in app data. So if you want to like get the level out of there, you need to go into this folder right here, where here is gonna be the name of your profile on Windows, and then you go to app data roaming, and then how does one name, and you will find it right here in this folder. To copy the level, you want to copy the .tscn file and the .dat file. Both of them are important. If you finish saving the level and you want to load the level, press this button and just navigate to your level and you should be able to load it. If you have a level loaded and don't want to load another level, want to make a new level, just press this button. It will start at the beginning. And by pressing this button, you will be able to playtest the level. However, the first time you press this, it won't work. And right here, you would want to navigate to the Sonic Runner executable and basically select it. Uh, because this is a debug build, even though if I navigated to like a release build, it wouldn't exactly work, but it should work for you. This is all you need to know to start making a level. Past this point, it's more advanced stuff. If you want to learn it, go ahead. I'm not stopping you, but you don't have to. Right here, there are keybinds. Basically, you can have shortcuts to different things in the editor. There are also some things that I haven't yet explained, which I will explain later. You can also change the default settings, like the default creator, default level name, basically the default settings in the Files tab, the way the layers start. For example, I like to set the background layer to 1 because then all the layers are uniform, and I just think that's better for me personally. You can also turn on these two things, additional info and grip snap, which basically help with The additional info adds additional info right here on the bottom left corner. It shows you the position of the camera, the size of your window, and the position of the mouse in the screen, on the screen, which doesn't correlate with the position of the mouse in the level. It basically starts at 0 right here on the top and ends at your screen's resolution right here on the bottom. And grid snap basically makes all of the objects and all of the decor snap when it's turned off, which you can turn off by pressing Ctrl G. When it's turned off, you can freely place the objects into any position that's in the level. But when grid snap is turned on, it basically snaps it to a grid, so you cannot place the objects everywhere. But it will make it simpler to place objects like consistently. This section of the options is dedicated to controlling what is created when you create a new level. You can make all of the objects that normally spawn when you create a new level just not spawn, so you are left with an empty level, and you can just add the objects in yourself. There are also other options with these objects. When you spawn them, you can basically change what object gets spawned. Uh, if you have like custom objects, custom like player objects, custom camera, you can change so the level editor spawns that custom player object and not the default player object that comes with SR. There are also a couple extra tools at your disposal that can make making levels a bit easier. If you hold R, you enter transform mode. In this mode, whenever you press left click, you can scale up the current object, and with right click, you can make the object face your cursor, which makes it much more easier to edit rather than just inputting numbers right here. By pressing Alt plus R, you can make the object randomly rotate and scale, which basically just does work for you. You don't have to, if you don't want to, you can just randomly rotate decor, and it can make just decoration a bit easier. If you want to reset the rotation and scale, you can press Ctrl plus R, and that will reset it to how it was before. There is also, if you are in the object panel, by pressing E, you can enter edit mode, which is similar to transform. However, it's dependent on the current object that you have selected. If you have, for example, the camera selected, the edit mode will let you zoom it in and out. It will let you change the zoom with left click, and does nothing with right click. But for example, for this spike, it does nothing because the spike has no properties that it can edit. Every object's editable interaction is listed at the object's wiki page, so look there if you want to learn them. Another tool that you can have is if you press E, but you're in the tiles tab, you will enter the bucket mode, which basically, if you have an enclosed area like this, you can press it to fill it. It's fairly simple. There is also a special mode, which is used for with these objects, the spinning arm and the track, I'll choose the spinning arm. Basically, what they do is they rotate around, and they're basically used to rotate around other objects, but you can't just like, if you put like an object with paint normally here, it won't be attached to the object. So instead, in order to attach objects to the spinning arm and track and potentially other attachables in the future, you will need to press Ctrl plus J, which will change you into attach mode, which basically just modifies these three modes, the default modes. And now, whenever you click on any attachable object, the object that you currently have selected will attach to the other object. And now, if we pick it up, it's conjoined together. If you want to look at your level without all of these tabs here and all of the text here, you can press Ctrl plus H, and that will hide all of the stuff, all of the UI, so you can look at your level more clearly. You can also, by pressing Alt plus one of the numbers right here, you can hide layers. So you can only see certain layers and hide the others. There are many other shortcuts. You can find them in the options right at here at the end. You can also change any of these that are lighter. The ones that are darkened, they are uh, dependent on other shortcuts for the functionality. If we, for example, change this, this one will change as well because they're linked. The last part of the Sonic Runner editor is the level group editor. Level groups are basically just packs of levels that you can then select in the level select in SR and basically play them together. The level group editor is split into two halves. The top half, you can edit the level groups data and settings. The bottom half, you can edit the levels that appear in the group and where they appear, how they appear, stuff like that. To make a new level group, we press this button right here and we enter the name. So I'm gonna write in test, and that immediately makes us makes up new stuff here. It shows us the default title and the default icon. We can refresh this here. And some of the buttons will light up because we can now access them because we have a level group. There is no need to save a level group. The level group saves by itself. If we press this button, it will pull up some of the options. We can write in our name here, change the background that the level group uses, and the UI color, which will basically tint some UI elements a specific color. So we can make the level group have like a specific color theming. I'm gonna talk about unlock type a bit later because it's a lot. This right here is for custom sprites because there is a special object that you can use in a level that only works if you are in a level group where you can load sprites that aren't natively in SR into SR. And you basically just navigate to a PNG file that you have. I'm gonna use this default file right here, which comes with Godot, and you can just load it into the level group, and now in the level, you can use the external image object and load it in. Right at here, there are 20 slots for your levels. Each one of them can have one level. However, the levels in the level group, you can have as many of them as you want. You just can only present 20 here. To load in some of your levels, you need to press this plus here, and then we just select some levels that you have, and it will copy that level into the level group. If we go and look at it in the file system, the original level stays where we had it, but in our test group, it also got copied into there. We also, the selected slot that we had, it was put into that slot automatically. We can rename it from here, and we don't have to rename it in the level editor. We can just rename it quickly here. Let's make it official. Official basically changes a few text. If it's official, it won't thank the user who made it. You can set it to be not official and type in like some friend, if some friend made a level that you include in this group, and you can thank them for making it. You can also change the icon. Let's change it to T, for example, and you can change the base, which basically changes the coloration. Waterway is more blue. Well, both of them are blue currently, but Waterway is the default one. The empty one is more blue, and the one where you part is pink, and the base one is more white, and the one and if you part a level, it's cyan. That's the main difference between them. And there will come many more in the future that are going to be more unique, but these are the current ones. You can also, I'm going to add another level here. For example, this one. Oh, that's a level group. That's not a level. You can also set the level's unlock requirements. And these are basically the level will stay locked, as you can see here, until a certain condition is met. And these conditions can also be set for the level group. So the same conditions that you set here, the same conditions here, except for the last one because that's a different one here. The last one is different for levels. There are different, seven different unlock conditions, but one of them is always unlocked, so it's not really uh, unique. Here, beat level, basically you just type in the file name of the level group and then the name of the level. So for example, one of these would be, the file name would be, I think for this it would be like user SR levels storage, and because that's the name of this level group, and then one of these levels would be here. For example, level underscore A. I'm gonna double check if I have this correctly. So I checked it. Yeah, it should appear something like this. If the level group is in the folder right here in the user folder, then you use user and two uh, slashes, then SR levels, and then the name of the level group. If it's in the main game, then you wouldn't use user. You would use instead res double slash then scenes, and then, for example, waterway, which is the main set of levels. There would be like level 1-1. For power level, it's the same. You put in the same, but the level has to be parred. For beat level, it has to be beaten. Group completion, you type in the level group the same, and depending on the level group's completion, which every level group tracks completion, uh, basically how far you progressed for every beaten level, parred level, for every level you unlocked. It's tallied up and it gets a completion, and you can check if the completion is above a certain percentage that you write here, and if it is, then this level is unlocked. Then bonus amount, you choose the group. For this, you don't actually need to specify a specific group. If I remember, you can just, for example, put in this and every group that's under scenes. So every group that's in the normal game would be like counted up for bonus amount, and you basically tallies up all the bonuses for every group that's eligible with this text. And if it surpasses the amount that you write here, you unlock the level. And then custom unlock, you just type in a name of your unlock. You should probably prefix it with a star. Sometimes I think custom unlock should probably always start with a star. You just type in whatever. You can type in whatever name you want, but it should start with a star because it uh, denominates that this is a custom unlock that isn't tied to a level group. If it doesn't have the star, then it's tied to a specific level group and can cause sometimes janky behavior. But uh, you can do whatever you want with this. And portals and finishes, there is a little setting you can put there if you type in the name that you typed in here. Like for example, if this is like uh, unlock, I'm a great typer, unlock booster. If you typed in this into the portal or into the finish in that uh, property where it's unlock, I think it just says unlock, then it when you beat the level or go to the portal, it would unlock this level basically. And then there's level unlock. This is a bit of a special type, and it's only for levels. Uh, Levels with this unlock type, uh, basically it just gets set by the level group, like SR just handles itself, and you can unlock these levels by typing just like the name of the level that you have into a portal. Similarly, how you unlock these, but it's just done automatically. And you don't want to type in a star because these are tied to a level group. So sadly, you probably cannot unlock them from like if you have two level groups, you cannot unlock levels with a level unlock in another level group using this one. And the unlocks work the same here. So except for this one, that one is just never unlocked. It replaces the level unlock, which is here. And that's basically it for the Sonic Runner editor.